want to talk about loneliness and being by myself. So, I was in the gym yesterday and I was listening to this song, and I think it was a woman. Yeah, no, it was definitely a woman singing, and she was speaking about, I don't know, her experience of like how strong she is and how lonely that is, right? And then all of a sudden, as I'm listening to the song, this other song from way, 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 way back when by I think a guy called Eric Carmen, which has been redone a couple of times, called All by Myself. So there's a reason why creative people sing constantly about being by themselves, whether it's the loneliness of being in self or dark in self, or the loneliness of being so strong that you feel lonely in yourself. Maybe that's because other people are weaker, or maybe that's because you're so strong that you don't know how to depend on people. And I've been all of the above, right? Like I could think when I was younger, I tended to get more self-esteem from being a part of a community, a part of a family, a part of a relationship, whatever it was that I sought outside myself to validate me. And then as I grew and became more capable, and I'm not saying like I'm totally good at this all the time, but as I grew and grew older and became more capable of understanding myself and the nuances of like the dark spaces of my mind and the places and spaces where I would feel lonely, both because of who I was surrounded by and how I spoke and looked at those surroundings, I started to see that like loneliness was going to be a pervasive part of my environment and my psyche as much as I let it. I happen to be someone who lives alone. I'm not married and I don't have children, so I'm not sharing space on a day-to-day basis with people. So I have had, as a necessity, have had to cultivate a feeling of not letting myself get dark when I'm alone. And it can be a full-time job. I mean, and the funny thing is that as I describe my situation, I know there are people who feel desperately lonely, who do live with other people, and who are part of healthy families. So what I found interesting was sort of as I was listening to this, because I'm fascinated by these dynamics of how society sort of like swings one way, and they're like, we've got it going on. This is the solution. Let's all be, free, like say post World War II, right? And we're going to buy houses and be prosperous, and then, swinging to the other side where there were people left out of the equation and left out of the prosperity, and it took us a little while to realize that and come to grips with this idea of the Pollyanna picture perfect American life in the 50s that wasn't exactly perfect, right? But now we've swung into like it's all dark and it's all depressing, and like nobody ever talked about feeling lonely, and no one ever went to therapy. So now like everyone wants to talk about their feelings of loneliness all the time. Everyone's out there being stressed. Everyone, or so it seems. I'm globalizing, I recognize that. But here's the thing, like this is what was so remarkable to me, is that at the same time I'm listening to a modern female, talk about the loneliness of feeling strong, when in fact, like how much of society, at least when I was growing up, was like, be strong, be independent, right? Is now a place of loneliness. Whereas, like, I think that was the aim, to be strong, to be independent, right? And then, correlating back to a man singing about loneliness, like outside of a relationship. So again, I'm just seeing and always reminded, especially when I listen to art and creativity, how much of human feelings and dynamics are so intrinsic, but they're often like really impressed upon and affected by society and what's going on in society and society mores about how I should be, how I should feel as a man, as a woman, as a single person, a married person, someone who's a mother, someone who has no children. And I'll tell you what, as a 55-year-old woman, it's like my desperate need to keep like parsing through and scraping away these layers of chronic bullshit about what I'm being taught and told. And it's not like individuals are teaching this to me and saying, you need to learn this. It's like messaging over and over and over and over and over again. Sometimes that like, I feel like I'm swimming out of deep water and I'm like, am I ever going to get to the top? Right? Like, and it's that feeling of, who am I? Of needing to constantly revisit and answer that question. I am a strong, independent woman who feels confident and self-sufficient and doesn't suffer from dark, depressive feelings. And it's not like I don't know them. There's a difference between knowing them and acknowledging them and suffering from them. So note what I just said, right? And it's the difference between allowing myself to be in self and experience all of it and not allow that idea that somehow if I'm feeling negative, whether it's because I'm too strong or too weak, that that darkness should infiltrate and pervade my existence and allow me to feel bad. I am everything I am and it's all good, independent and strong and weak and emotional, right? And that is the way it's always going to be, no matter how much the pendulum swings and no matter what society is telling me about how I should be, right? So the point being, be yourself and think for yourself and question shit going on around you and question the messages you're hearing. And don't, like, it's not about fighting against them. It's about existing and acting with and in accordance with who you want to be, not against anything. I'm never against anything. I'm just being with me. All right, enough of that. Thanks for spending time with me. I hope you all have a good day. Bye.